Video bandwidth and distribution of Talking Scuba is provided by Blip TV, the next generation television network for independent shows. Do your part by donating today by visiting TalkingScuba.com. Hey everybody, welcome to another exciting episode of Talking Scuba. I'm Bob Shoemaker.
And I'm Jim Norton.
And we got a full house today. We got a whole studio audience here today, so we're pretty excited about that. But anyways, we are a bi-weekly show discussing all different types of diving, from cold, deep wrecks to shallow worm reefs and everything else in between. Now, this week we've got a full episode. We're going to be talking about a couple different subjects. First of all, we're going to start with diving in Alpena. We've got a couple poll questions we're going to discuss. We got our viewer-submitted email, and then we're going to finish up the show with talking about a shipwreck that has started to float up in the Sleeping Bear Dunes. So let's get started. We're going to talk about diving in Alpena first.
All right, yeah, Midwest Dive News had a great article on Alpena. You ever been up there?
I've dove there once before. It was great.
Okay. I've never dove there, but I flew up there quite a few times.
Okay.
And the first clue I got is a pilot I got up there. They had at the airport a large mural of a shipwreck right at the airport. And I thought, wow, I wonder what this is about. Come to find out, they've got one of the biggest Great Lakes sanctuaries in the Great Lakes. It's 448 square miles.
Yeah, it's huge, and it encompasses a lot of different shipwrecks. They talk about quite a few different shipwrecks at different levels as well. So you got everything from recreational diving to some of the more advanced stuff.
Oh yeah, they got shallow stuff from everything from 20 feet, so you could actually snorkel it.
Right.
And right on down to around 200 feet, which is where the Windy A is.
And that's the one you want to dive pretty bad.
Oh boy, do I want to dive that one. That is a great shipwreck. It's a Great Lakes schooner. They say that looks good enough. If they raised it, you could sail it.
Wow, that would be amazing. They also have a maritime museum there as well.
They do, and I have been through the museum, and it is excellent. It is they've got a ship very much like the Windy A, this Great Lakes schooner, about a quarter of it built right on the floor of the museum.
Wow!
And you can walk through it, and while you're walking through it, they're playing lightning in the background, and flashing, and it's just like simulating a bad day on the lake.
Oh yeah, and there's quite a few of them over in that area. You know, that's actually, sometimes it can be a tough place to dive because the weather is rough over there, and being able to get out is sometimes difficult. I know, like, that's one reason I really like diving the Straits, is because if we got a strong west wind, we'll just go to Lake Huron. If we got a strong east wind, we can just go to the Lake Michigan side. So we have options where we can dive and things like that.
But that is one nice thing about Lake Huron and the Alpena area, is that it is very bad weather, and that's why there's so many shipwrecks.
Yeah, exactly. Now, is there any other shipwrecks they mentioned in that?
Oh yes, there's the Florida, and that's a fairly good shipwreck. It was involved in a collision with the George Ruby, I guess it is. And that one, I believe, if I check my notes, is only like 80 feet deep.
Okay.
So that's definitely a
recreational dive.
Recreation. And there's the Grecian, and that went down in 1906, and that's in 108 foot of water.
So again, we're still well within the recreational dive limits there.
Absolutely. And they say they're very well preserved, and they have not been pillaged as some of the wrecks in the Straits have been.
Sure. Now, this article, it was available in Midwest Dive News, right?
That's correct.
And you can get that on their website. And they got pictures and everything else. You can download that right from the website, or you can get it at your local dive shop, or you can even subscribe. It'll come right to your house.
That's right.
Great magazine. Now let's move on. We're going to talk about some of the poll questions. We actually have one up right now talking about some of the ice diving that we're getting ready to do. We talked to a couple people, see if they're getting ready to dive under the ice. We've got 3 options up there. Are you going to dive? Are you crazy like us? You going to dive? Do you have to be talked into actually going under the ice, or is there no way, I'm not that crazy, I'm not going to dive under the ice? So go ahead, go to our website, talking-scuba.com, and you can vote on that poll. The next one that we have coming up here, we are going to do you buy or rent your gear? So we're gonna discuss different poll questions just to get people more active on the website, give them something to think about, you know, when we're in between dives. We've got a couple of viewer submitted emails. I think we're just going to do one today. But this one is from one of our good friends, Deb Bronsma.
Oh, yeah.
You want to read that for us?
All right. Deb writes, would you guys talk about trim, how to achieve a horizontal profile, and self-monitor your profile in the water?
Sure. And that's probably one of the most important things is having a good profile in the water because you're not disturbing, you know, around here especially, we've got a lot of sediment on the bottom. So if you have a poor profile where maybe your fins are kind of facing down into the sediment, you're going to be kicking up a lot of stuff behind you. So having a good trim and a good profile in the water is really important. Also for diving shipwrecks, you keep your fins up off the bottom, you're not running into the wreck, knocking stuff around, and that sort of thing, as well as on the reefs. You don't want to be kicking the reefs real hard. So, having a good profile is very important.
And how are we going to achieve that is, it depends. It has a lot to do with your gear.
Mm-hmm.
For example, my gear's, I'm very happy with it. It keeps me very well trimmed until I put my dry suit on.
Sure.
Then I have a little problem with my legs floating. And I've seen some guys take care of that a number of ways, and ankle weights is one of them.
Sure. There's ankle weights, but also where you put your trim weights on your BC. Different manufacturers have trim weights, on the back. You might be able to, if you have a double banded system, maybe the pockets are up on the top band. Maybe you can move those to the lower band if you're not achieving the balance that you want. Also, moving more weight from either the back to the front or from the front to the back. Each person is going to have to experiment with what works for them. Diving with different pieces of equipment, whether you're up here diving with 7 mils, full hoods, that sort of thing, that's all going to affect your buoyancy. And we preach buoyancy, but I think it's one of the most important things. And getting yourself planed out exactly how you want is very important. Personally, I like to leave myself a little bit positively buoyant. That way I can have my head down a little bit, and when I kick, I kind of push myself down towards the bottom a little bit. It might be a little bit uncomfortable at first, but once I got used to it, controlled my breathing, I could bring myself up. Sometimes I run into stuff with my head. Not the best move, but definitely can't impress students when you're running into stuff with your head, but at least you're not mucking up the bottom.
It does explain a lot, too.
Oh, yeah. So anyways, that's how I prefer to do it. The biggest suggestion I can give to you, Deb, is just get out there and dive, and I know you're doing that. She's dove with us a couple times this year.
Yes, and she does say something about how you self-monitor that. Deb, that's what a dive buddy's for.
Yeah.
Have them help you out. It's not a problem.
And as soon as they start calling you a mud puppy, you'll pretty much know that you probably have a poor profile in the water,
yes.
And that you could probably keep yourself up off the bottom, maybe get your fins up a little higher. The other problem is people do not add enough air to their BC. If you're sinking down, you're going to go through the water like that. Add a little bit of air to your BC. Don't be afraid to add air to your BC to get yourself in the profile that you want. I think that is another good point.
Very good point, yep.
Thanks for letting me make that. All right. The last segment we're going to talk about is some shipwrecks that they found up in the Sleeping Bear Dunes.
Oh, that's pretty exciting, actually.
Yeah, it was a huge section of shipwreck that they think blew up after a storm.
Yep.
And they found it in the Sleeping Bear Dunes, where it's kind of a remote area.
It is. It's really hard to get to. They said it's quite a walk to get to it. But it was fairly interesting because there is metal involved in these wooden parts.
Mm-hmm.
They think that they might be engine mounts.
Okay. So they can kind of decipher what age the ship might be, then start to kind of figure out what ship it might be based on an age and maybe something lost at that time period in that location.
There you go. Because at one time they used no metal at all.
Sure.
And this one has metal holding its members together, sure, as well as the engine mounts. So
now we've had we've gone out and done a little shipwreck hunting on our own.
We sure have.
You've got a little unit that helps us look underwater in your boat.
A great Hummingbird side scan.
And that works pretty good.
It works very good.
So we get out there and we can get out there and mow the lawn, so to speak.
There you go.
And then you also are a pilot, so we've gone out flying a couple times.
Oh yeah, yep. We've gone looking for a shipwreck called the Pizzazz.
Yeah, and that was one that actually just went down a couple years ago.
Right.
And it just kind of broke up on a rogue wave it hit. And I think Tim Marr was actually piloting it at the time, and it just kind of disintegrated under his feet, so to speak. But that, so we went out flying to find that, right?
We did. We took my Mooney out, and we had a vague idea where it was. And we went in the spring where the visibility was quite good. So we figured, well, we can see through the water. We could probably discern something on the bottom. 70 foot of water at least. And we were looking and looking. We did find some shipwrecks that were already existing shipwrecks. But I thought I'd seen something, and I circled it. And I had some complaints.
Yeah, I about lost my lunch. Jim, he's used to flying, and you've done some acrobatic piloting stuff in the past, and so he was real comfortable. Well, he goes into he's like, oh, I see something. My stomach about came out my nose. It was, I didn't say anything at the time, but I after a couple beers at the bar, I was like, Jim, I almost lost my lunch in your plane. You can't do that to me, kid.
That green tinge to the skin is a good...
The color went out of my face.
Yes.
All right, well, that's about all we have for our segments today. But before we go, I want to mention our sponsor, of course, Neutral Dive Gear. They've got a big campaign going out right now with their boat coats, which we talked about last week as well. Yep. Very nice to keep you warm, especially if you're in a wetsuit. You know, you can peel your wetsuit down, throw the boat coat on. That'll keep you real nice and warm in between dives.
Oh, that's great.
And we love all their stuff. We're wearing their hats and shirts all week long. So
I love their t-shirts.
Yeah, they're cool. They got the cross tanks, the skull and stuff. It's pretty cool. So Neutral Dive Gear, go to neutraldivegear.com, and you can use the discount code at checkout of Talking Scuba, and you can get a discount and get a little bit cheaper goods.
Oh, I like cheaper.
Good. And also, if you send us money, $5 donation, you can get a couple stickers sent to you, and they look good on everything.
Oh, especially tanks.
Tanks and cars, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Help spread the gospel of Talking Scuba.
There you go.
Also, follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Go to our website, talking-scuba.com. We have the polls that we talked about there.
That's right.
We're going to start writing little articles and blogging on there.
Yep.
And so you'll have more information, and you can listen to us blab on even more on the website. So talking-scuba.com. And also, we've got our emails that we're starting to read. Remember to send in some questions for us. We love answering those. Even if they don't make sense, we try to do our best for you and give you a good answer. So fans at talking-scuba.com, and we will start answering questions.
Sounds great.
To the next dive?
To the next dive.
Hey, studio audience.
You're going to say your favorite line?
Oh, to the next dive.
No, besides that.
Did I say that?
What's up, mofo?
Yeah.
What's up, mofo?
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, did we get it, mofo?
Did you get it?
Recording audio.
All right.
We are a weekly show discussing all different types of diving.
Cut. We're a bi-weekly show.
Go really, really slow when you move around. Yeah, that's fine. Walk right in front.
I do not walk in front of the I don't know how you can get back.
I'll tell you, it's hard to find a good fluffer now.
Yeah, don't walk.
Jim Norton.
And we are bi-weekly. Do it again! That is hard to say.
Breathe.
Dive News. And they had a big section on the Alpena diving. They've got great...
Jim, you've never fallen apart before. our website, talking-scuba.com. You said you're an ass. What is that?
You got to do sponsors.
Oh, we got to talk about, okay. There's a little bit more editing to do this week.
I think I need more beer.